The third annual men's conference is set to take place today, bringing together men from various backgrounds to engage in meaningful discussions and workshops centered around the theme, Building a Generation of Conscious and Intentional Men. The event will feature keynote speakers who are leaders in their fields, sharing insights on topics such as man and law, mental health and wellness, fatherhood, men's health and sex, financial literacy, and the importance of intentional living. For more on this, we're joined by the CEO and the founder of Cool Dads Foundation, Bongani Luvalo. Bongani, very good morning. Thanks for joining us. Welcome.
Good morning, and thank you very much for having us.
It's an absolute pleasure, man. Good to have you. Good to see you on the show this morning. First of all, what inspired you to create the Cool Dads Foundation, and how has it evolved over the years? I mean, leading up to the third annual men's conference.
So we're 11 years actually this year. We just turned 11 years in October.
Okay.
And two things that actually inspired us starting Cool Dads Foundation. One would be my personal experience having to grow up without a father, being raised by my mother and my grandmother. But the second part is having to see that most of the households in the street where I grew up, are homes where you found an uncle or a grandfather, but mostly always going to find mothers in that space. And for me, having a group of friends who only spoke about kids when they were asked that they can't go and watch the Proteas because the mother is going somewhere, so then Mchida will say, no, I'm going to be babysitting,
Yeah.
But also some of the conversations we were having with the guys, we then realized that we've got more problems than we thought we could actually imagine, and we thought, how about we change, the perception around what fatherhood is, fathers have always been seen as disciplinarians or providers, nothing beyond that, people are not emotionally engaged. Somebody said, I grew up with my dad at home, but he was just that guy who's got a straight face, reads a newspaper and watches the news at 7:30, I've never had my dad say, I love you. I've never had my dad asking me, how was your day? And so we thought it's our responsibility as this generation really to turn the tide, so that we become those present fathers, not just physically, but emotionally with our kids as well.
There's a massive difference between being a father and a present father. And just speaking of your childhood and upbringing, can you share a memorable experience, just a moment or experience that profoundly shaped your understanding of what it really means to be a man, to be a father, and to be, a conscious and an intentional man?
As I said, I think growing up without a father, on Monday, people will reminisce about what they were doing with their dads, Either they went to the stadium to watch Orlando Pirates and Kaizer Chiefs, for a Wisa Spectacular. And the only thing I could talk about was how I was helping my mother to do laundry and so on, But also for me, the defining moment would have been the birth of my daughter.
Okay.
At her birth, I was there. When I cut that umbilical cord, I knew that I had an opportunity to do things quite differently than my dad.
Right.
And I think life has never been the same since then. It's been a great experience till today. She's 10 years today. And I can tell you now, she rules my life.
Right.
So yeah, for me,
so
I think that's what stands out, and that really inspires me to say we've got a different role to play in society. Just that confidence that comes from a young girl who says, I know my dad can do this. I'm going to tell my dad if you do this. And the stories that she always comes back, to tell when she comes back from school. So those are the things that when you look back and you look at your hard work, you're like, this is something to live for.
And especially when you are becoming a safe space for her.
No, definitely. And having to give her the opportunity to express herself,
yes.
To tell you how her day went, what made her sad, what made her happy, what they are talking about with their friends. But most importantly, having to understand that girls start gossiping at a very young age. Because she doesn't want to leave after care.
Right.
When you ask her, why are you not wanting to leave? You then realize that she's been gossiping with her friends in class. It's not that they were doing anything special.
Now, building a generation of conscious and intentional men, how does that theme then reflect the foundation's mission?
We are looking at empowering a man holistically. Yeah. Before you are a father, before you are a brother, you are a human being, you are a man. And we go through a lot. I think being Movember, we know the high statistics of, depression, anxiety. And as men, we are actually the biggest committers of suicide. We are successful in suicide. We are talking about the question of our health, cancer, prostate cancer, and so on. And many of us don't like going to the doctor. You have got to be dragged there, So we thought there are many things that men go through. through. You know, indoda must, we know some of the slogans that go around, indoda must be this, indoda must be that. And we thought, how about we create a safe space for men to have a conversation about what they go through, you know, whether it be their finances, be it their health, be it parenting, you know, be it future plans for their own families. Because we do not have enough spaces. Everyone talks about how men don't talk, but we do not have spaces where we can really learn to say, I can be vulnerable in this space. I can talk about the issues that I'm going through. And I know that Simpiwe as well is going through those issues. And I think we can share and take from each other. And for us,
and I think it's important that you diagnose the problem. Why is it that men, we're not comfortable sharing our personal feelings?
We are I always say to people, we are a symbol of strength. We're always told that indoda ikhali.
Yes.
We're told that as a man you must work hard, you must provide for your family. So there are all of these expectations that are towards you, you know. And at no point in time do you want to be disappointing, whether it be your mother, be your parents, be your partner, be your kids. But nobody takes a moment to ask you, how are you, Simpiwe? Is everything going okay, you know? But also even somebody that says, I can see that you are working hard or you are trying in this, you know? And even when we are sitting as the gents, you know, you do not want to be seen as the weakest link when you've got challenges. And even if you can check guys, you know, whether she be in, guys would start having a first drink, fourth drink, and they're like, yeah, ne? Life. But we never get to the point where we talk because you are thinking, if I speak now, would I be seen as a weak man? Because nobody wants to be seen as a weak man because society has got these expectations for us, you know. But also we do not have the vocab of actually saying, this is how I feel. Women know how to describe their feelings, whether they are sad, they are happy, they are annoyed. They know how to label those feelings. And we still have to learn, you know, how do I identify these feelings? How do I deal with them? Besides being aggressive, besides having to drink alcohol, how do I vocalize how I am feeling? And for us, these are the spaces that are going to allow us and teach us how to get into that toolbox and actually take those words and come back and be able to say, you know, Simpiwe, I'm feeling anxious about 1, 2, 3. I'm feeling depressed about 1, 2, 3. I'm sad that I couldn't go and attend, you know, my uncle's funeral. I'm feeling a bit happy because I managed to make an extra income. So all of those things, they take time for us to actually learn and speak. And we've got to say we're in a safe environment.
You're actually quite right, Bongani. But I suppose as men, we don't have the right person in mind to be talking to about these particular issues, to be offloading some of those emotions too. So I think we need to find out who is the right person to be talking to these things about. It's
different strokes for different folks. You must find a person you can trust. And I'm saying it takes a lot, not because of there are no people that you can talk about, but you're asking yourself, would Simpiwe see me as a weak link into manhood? But 2, would he tell somebody else how weak I am, how I can't handle my household, how I can't keep a job, how I can't satisfy my partner, how I can't... So you're always wondering if you take the moment to be vulnerable, will that not be used against you later? So only at the time when you feel comfortable, then you'll be able to actually say, I can talk to a therapist, I can talk to a friend, I can talk to a priest, I can talk to my mother, or I can talk to my dad. So
but is it important talking to someone in the same position as you are or someone completely neutral?
Find somebody you can trust. It doesn't matter whether they are involved or they are close or far away from you. Find somebody that you can trust and somebody. And it's always better to find somebody that is a little bit far away from the situation that you're in. Either be the priest, find an elder, you know, find an aunt, find an uncle, find a priest. You know, if you can afford therapy, go to a therapist. You know, because in that space at least it is governed by law. They will not come back and tell you issues that Simpiwe arrived here and said he's got you know issues of having to satisfy his partner or he's got issues of having to provide for you, you know. So you've got to find a place where you can say, as Bongani, I'm quite comfortable in this terrain to actually be vulnerable and talk about the issues that bother me.
So what message do you have, you know, you have to convey to men who are quite hesitant in terms of embracing this whole notion and principle of intentional living as reflected by the mission and the focus of Cool Dad Foundation?
At the end of the day, this is only one life. If you can't help yourself, then there's no one else who can help you. You've got to take the leap of faith and actually step forward and say, how do I assist myself? And the help is out there. Just have to be intentional. That's why I said we've got to be intentional. So being intentional means having to say, I want to do this. And then you ask the question, how then do I do it? Then you'll only find out after you have said, I'm committing myself to having to be doing right by myself so that I can then be right for my friends, for my family, and so on and so on.
It really will be a transformative experience for men. Thank you so much for joining us. us.
Thank you very
Share
much.
more details briefly.
We are meeting today at Germiston Banquet Hall in Germiston at 8 o'clock until 5 o'clock.
Okay.
And people are coming for free. You don't have to worry about any fee. Just pitch up and let's have a conversation.
Awesome. Great stuff.
Thank you
Bongani,
very much.
thank you so much. We're just talking to the CEO and the founder of the Cool Dads Foundation, Bongani Luvalo, about this conference that aims to inspire a movement among men dedicated to fostering, a more compassionate, a more understanding and a more proactive society.